very good morning to all of you. It's indeed a bubbly Wednesday morning in the studio. I'm Vasam and you're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka on NTV Sports, and I'm co-hosted by Jason.
That was like such a good opening. You were like, good morning. That was so exciting.
Well, that's because we were laughing right throughout the opening of the show.
That's right. All right. So, Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you too. Well, for those who don't know, Jason and I are meeting for the first time in 2014.
That is true.
And it's actually the first show that I'm doing with Jason on Good Morning Sri Lanka.
And the crowd goes wild. Calm down. We're all good. We're just regular people.
Well, anyway, as usual, we have a very interesting guest on the show this morning. To introduce you, she is a digital artist, an avid blogger, and a foodie. And she is Diane Herft.
Diane, good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka.
Thank you.
By the way, this is usually the case where we have two guys interviewing one girl.
Right.
So don't be
too intimidated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll try.
I don't think she's intimidated, Jason.
I'm trying to do the wink to the camera, but I can't
That's just Jason pretending not to be intimidated, mind you. At least I think so. Anyway, Diane, do tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay. Well, I do mostly digital art. I'm also a texture artist, and I do love food, so I love blogging about food, coming up with different recipes, and just using things in everyday life that I come across in my food or in my art, just being creative wherever I can, channel it in somehow.
So everything that you do is overall an art.
Pretty much,
food and writing. All right, let's get into your digital artist part of your life.
Okay.
I'm curious, what sort of art do you do? Because I know there's they divide kind of art, like where you have human figure, fine art.
Oh, I'm terrible at human figures. So I love fantasy. Just anything fantasy based. Like, you know, the whole fairies, angels, dark side.
Elves.
I don't think we've done anything with elves yet, but that could be a good
not.
Actually, Jason, I think before we get into that, we need to educate our viewers as to what digital art is.
Yeah, what is it?
So, tell us, what do you mean when you say I'm a digital artist? What does that mean?
Well, in traditional art, you have paints and, you know, canvas and a whole lot of mess and stuff, whereas digital, it's more creating it on computers with a Wacom tablet, any type of graphics tablet, anything, that sort of thing. And it's just, I think with digital, you have more freedom because you can make as many mistakes as you want to, and there's always the happy undo button, which you can go back and do and recreate it all over again. So it's just, I think it just lets you have more options.
Would you ever think that digital art is faster than like regular painting or fine art?
I think possibly, but then when I do a piece, I can spend like 3-4 days, at least like 8 hours at a time when you get really focused. And I think maybe when it's digital, you do tend to get a little bit more picky because you're like, oh, it's digital, I can undo that and redo it again. And you put it aside for a day and you come back and you go, oh, that's completely wrong now. I need to start all over. So maybe it's kind of, you know, it actually might take you longer because you spend more time trying to kind of fine-tune it.
So interesting, because like what we're talking about right now is obviously your art, and we want to show the people what you've done, like your work of art. So we're just going to take a quick look at a couple of pictures of Diane's. Kinky. Chains. Alright, so what is this piece, by the way? This one right here. That's so interesting.
This one was called Beginning of the End.
Okay.
So just about a time in an era that was ending, and you see a little unborn child in the center of the statue. It's just new life is coming in and something new and something different.
Really cool. Aww, I love kids, by the way.
That was my nephew, which I used as a reference for a big scary picture, which I don't think my sister was too happy about.
Yeah, you're right. Like, it's so much of fantasy that's included in your art.
I'm a bit of a dreamer. This is one of my favorites. It's again.
Reminds me of like Snow White and that witch, the one that comes with the apple. That reminds me of that.
It's kind of inspiration. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sort of.
Called it. Monkey with bubbles.
A wizard's familiar.
Looks like a monkey on a cloud.
Oh, really? It's so interesting because we all just look at it and we have like our own perspective. And
That's exactly what I want.
Diane, fantastic work, fantastic. I should say. One thing I kind of noticed. Okay, as you said, it seemed like there was a lot of fantasy in there. The other thing I noticed was, it looks like normal pictures or portraits or art which somebody would draw on a canvas. It's just that you've done it digitally.
Yeah.
So for work like this, I mean, usually when it comes to art, you find it in a lot of museums. It's up for sale. Some stuff, Jason, are like millions and millions of dollars. How is it with digital art around the globe? Is there a big market for it?
Well, I know that across sites, a lot of people are now selling them online for like people to just go and purchase them in that way. But I don't know how large the market is. Of course, there are the artists who are doing really well and selling their stuff. But mostly it's you have to go online to view it, and like if you want to get the print, you organize that yourself. There isn't like a specific shop just saying, oh, all this digital art, just walk in, buy your stuff and walk out. So it's not that wide as far as I know, but then I could be wrong and just very uninformed at the moment.
Have you ever thought of going into business with it?
I would love for people to have my art on their walls and just connect with it, and so that would be an amazing thing to get to do if I got to do that.
I know one site though, it's called deviantart.com.
Yes, they're pretty good.
Are you on that?
I'm on that, but I haven't updated it. There's so many sites though, it's hard to focus on which one you're going to constantly update and keep up with, and so yeah.
Right, now looking from your work, obviously like you mentioned before, you obviously you get inspired from fantasy.
Yes.
Right? Do you mind letting us know what sort of movies that inspire you? Does Star Wars inspire you?
Well.
Does it?
Well, I have to say I haven't actually watched all of them. I know. I get this look of horror. It's just that. I'm more like, Star Trek.
Oh, right, you're a Trekkie.
Movies like Labyrinth and, Never-Ending Story, those are the movies that inspired me. They're filled with so much magic and just so much potential to let your everything creative mind just go crazy. So. And
apart from movies, I mean, when you say fantasy, I'm sure you've got a very wide imagination in there. What kind of stuff inspires you apart from movies? I mean, in general, what inspires you?
It's hard to say. Like, sometimes I can just be walking around and I see like an amazing looking tree and be like, wow, that's very gnarly, and it's got all the grooves and stuff that could work well in some fantasy.
How about an amazing looking presenter?
Yeah, could be.
I wish the camera could just get it close up right now.
Amaya's not here, Jason.
Yeah. Amaya, that's who I was talking about. Not me! But alright, so digital art, now you mentioned that obviously there's this new technique where you could just, usually how it started off was people would scan their art, whatnot, and put it up on the computer and they would edit it.
Some people still do that. A lot of people do draw first and then scan that in and then work from there. I'm just terrible at actually drawing on paper, so I prefer to do it all digitally.
On the tab?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So that's what I kind of do. But no, you do get so many talented artists right now who still do prefer to draw it first, basic, and then scan it in and then work from there. So, yeah.
A lot of artists would say, almost every artist would say that it's very hard to live off your art. So a lot of them would get into advertising agencies, and they would then they wouldn't be happy with their work. They would just be like, oh, the client would do this to my work. And would you ever think that you might go down that line, getting to an agency, doing work for them?
I don't know. It's difficult to say.
Tough question. I know.
Actually, on the same lines, Jason.
Yeah.
When I was talking to you earlier, you said that you use certain graphic designing softwares to create your digital art, and the same softwares graphic designers, art directors use. So what makes a digital artist different to a graphic designer?
Well, I was saying, in my mind anyway, graphic design is always like you have these strict guidelines of what you have to do and create, and it doesn't really let you go into like all the different genres like fantasy and science fiction and different things. But again, that's just in my head, because when you hear graphic design, you immediately think advertising, and to me that's just too restrictive. I just want to be able to paint, and whatever comes to my mind, whatever weird thing I can dream up, I want to be able to put it down. So in that way, I feel digital painting, digital artist is a little bit different than a graphic designer. So.
I see.
That's awesome. That looks like your art is just limitless, full of ideas. I just can't wait to hear more. On that note, we'll go into a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Good Morning Sri Lanka.